Welcome back to Read with Miss Olson. I'm here with the pigeon. Today we're going to be reading a great story called Not Norman, a Goldfish story. This story is a realistic fiction. Remember, we've talked about realistic fiction, that it's not real, but it could be real. Could a boy have a fish? Sure. But is this a real boy and a real fish? No, it's just pretend. Our story is written by Kelly Bennett. She's our author. She wrote all the words. It's illustrated by Noah Z. Jones. He's our illustrator. He drew all the pictures. While we are reading today, we have our special word to watch. That word today is goofy. Can you say goofy? Whisper in my ear. What do you think goofy means? I heard you say that goofy means like silly or funny or crazy or weird. Yeah, that's exactly what goofy means. So when you hear our word goofy in our story, put your big thumbs up. While we are reading today, we are going to be doing some predicting and guessing what's going to happen next in the story. I bet, because, so get ready for that too. Let's get started. Not Norman, a goldfish story. When I got Norman, I didn't want to keep him. I wanted a different kind of pet. Not Norman. So far I've read that the little boy wants a different kind of pet. He doesn't want a fish. Let's keep reading to see what happens next. I wanted a pet who could run and catch, or one who could climb trees and chase things. A soft, furry pet to sleep on my bed at night. Not Norman. All Norman does is swim around and 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 around. This is it, Norman, I decided. I'm trading you for a good pet. Norman doesn't move. Not even a fin twitches. How can I trade him like this? No one will want a sorry-looking fish in a gunky bowl. When I drop Norman into his nice, clean bowl, he starts dipping and flipping, flapping his fins around. He looks so goofy. There's our word to watch. I have to laugh. Don't think that just because you made me laugh, I'm going to keep you, I tell him. Tomorrow, you're out of here. Norman blows a stream of bubbles. Let's pause here. Tell me what we've read so far. So far, I've read I heard you say that so far in our story, the boy wants to give Norman away, and he decides no one will want him unless he cleans the tank. So now he cleans the tank, and Norman the fish is making him laugh. Let's keep reading. The next day, I take Norman to school with me. If I talk him up real good during show and tell, maybe someone will want him. On the way there, we see my friend Austin. Austin is a real cool dog and 7 puppies. I want to swap one of your puppies for Norman, I ask. Who's Norman? asks Austin. My goldfish, I say. By the time I rescue Norman, half of his water is gone. I'm sorry, I tell Norman when we get to school. I'm really sorry. He just stares at me all googly-eyed. Finally, it's my turn to show and tell. Just as I start to talk about my goldfish, Emily shouts, "Jenny's gone! Who let my snake loose?" I'm gonna pause here. I'm gonna make a prediction. I bet that the snake will ruin their whole classroom because people might get scared and they might run and knock things over because I think snakes are scary. Let's find out if I'm right. Does anyone hear the story of how I got Norman? Does anyone even ask to hold his bowl? No. They're all jumping and screaming and chasing the snake. Not Norman. He's looking right at me. Thanks for listening, I tell him. That afternoon, we go to my music lesson. As soon as it's over, I'm taking Norman back to the pet store. I take out my tuba and begin to play. Bum 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 ba 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 bo 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 bee. I glance over at Norman. He's swaying back and forth. Glug 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 glug. He mouths. Look, Norman's singing, I say. Pay attention, snaps Maestro. And try to play the proper notes. Maestro makes me stay for extra practice. By the time my lesson is over, it's too late to go to the pet store. Don't think that just because you like my music, I'm going to keep you, I tell Norman. He glugs. Let's pause right here. What do you guys think will happen next in our story? I bet because I heard you guys say that you bet they'll become friends since he was listening at his concert. I heard other people say that you bet he's going to take him back to the pet store because he keeps saying he's going to. Let's find out what happens. That night, I'm sound asleep when screech, screech. What's that noise? Scratch, screech, screech. Yikes, there's something at my window. Then out of the corner of my eye, I spot Norman. He isn't scared. He isn't swimming around in circles either. He gloves and gives me a little wave. I'm not alone. Together, Norman and I slide open the curtains. It was just a broken tree branch. Thanks for watching out for me, Norman. On Saturday, I take Norman to the pet store. Just like I said I would. I look at the cats and dogs and snakes and birds. I look at the hamsters and mice and lizards too. They all look like good pets. But they are not Norman. When I got Norman, I wasn't sure I wanted to keep him. But now, even if I could pick any pet in the whole world, I wouldn't trade him. Not Norman. Norman, one amazing fish. Today, we read a story about a little boy who really wanted a pet. And he got a fish for his birthday, Norman. But it wasn't the kind of pet he wanted. And throughout the story, he talks about how he's going to bring Norman back to the pet store and trade him in for something different. But at the end of the story, the boy decides that he's going to keep Norman. Today I have a question for you. I want you to draw and write about how does this character change throughout the story? How does our little boy change? How does his feelings change about his fish, Norman? So when you draw and write, I want you to think about how he changes. How does his feelings about his fish change? And why do they change? Why does he change to liking his fish at the end? His feelings changed because I can't wait to see what you draw and write about in the comments below. Leave them there and I'll respond to you as soon as I can. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.